everyone, this is Brett Suttles with Revizto, and today we're going to dive into another learning session, and I really want to focus on Civil 3D, some of the things that we've done to streamline the export and what that means for our users out there, as well as some of the ways that version 5 can really benefit civil and horizontal projects. So first, anybody that has used us in a civil capacity, which there are quite a few of you out there, knows that if we wanted to come from Civil 3D before, we would have to generate a 3D saved view with at least conceptual visualization. Or we would have to generate NWC exports, get those into Navisworks, and use that as a way to convert that 3D geometry into something that was readily acceptable by our software. What we've done is we've actually improved the way that we export from Civil 3D in order to give you all of those 3D pieces of geometry, regardless if you're in a top-down, wireframe, true north view, like what you see here on my screen. So, for example, if we come up here and export to Revizto, we're going to be presented with some options. These options should feel very similar to everything that we've had before, as to where now we get textures, and in addition to that is the line tool here, where we can actually import 3D lines, such as topo lines, center lines, and other items like that. We still have the point cloud capability, as well as the ability to export sheets from any sheet set that is associated with this drawing. Now, as I save all my options here and I export, this shouldn't take too long. It looks like we're going to go through and publish those sheets and then export the model. And in Revizto, you will see that everything comes in. We can see all of our elements and everything is good to go. And after that, we'll dive into the way that we can manipulate this model data even more than we've ever been able to in the prior versions of Revizto. Looks like our sheets are done publishing and everything's been updated. And here we are in Revizto, and now we can see that all of our elements come in. I'm going to go ahead and take a look underneath and make sure that we've got all of our utilities, as well as our Revit file. Looks like we've got a few pipes that are kind of going down to 0, and that's okay in this situation. Now that we're jumping into Revizto itself, I want to take a moment to point out the different types of models that we can use and our ability to turn some of these models on and off, which can be very beneficial to a large project covering a lot of ground. Up in the top right, you're going to see the links here. If I click on the links, you'll see that I have the ability to turn on and off any models that I do or do not want to see. And you also see the wide variation of file formats that we have here as well. Up in the middle, you'll notice that we have presets for different types of applications, such as the structure, the bridges, the crane models, and so on. And if I select one of these presets, what this does is this automatically sets exactly what I want to see. And as I go back into the model, I am now only loading the structural elements here. Now, this is really important because this is where we can work on very, very large projects and have presets that allow us to go from area to area and actually work on computers that don't need to process the whole project at the same time. So massive benefit to large horizontal projects in that regard. If I go back to the project option and apply, you'll see that everything about the project comes back, including this existing surface. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hide that existing surface so that we can see some of the objects that we're selecting here. Once this information is inside of Revizto, we can now manage all of this through the object tree. So as I click through here, you're going to see that I can choose the MicroStation model, the SketchUp model, all of the Revit or the Civil 3D models, and actually expand that information and see exactly what I want to see. So for example, if I zoom down on this area, I can begin to look at some of the specific elements that are happening inside of this Bentley Bridge model. So here I can see where the gutter line is. I can isolate that in transparency so I can see exactly what that gutter line looks like. Switch over to all of the cut. or look at what's going to need to be backfilled on the site to make the road work. Looking at different component lines and the bridge and where the curb meets the road, as well as some of the striping, the channels, and right here looks like a lot of that lane work. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and search for exactly what I'm looking for. So here I'm looking at the sanitary system through a simple search in my object tree. And I can also list all the properties of that system out here and be able to visit each and every one of these locations via the object selection. So as far as dissecting Model QA and all of that with civil products, mainly Civil 3D and Bentley Open Roads, we can now get this information directly into Revizto and really look at that data for Model QA purposes. For example, if I hone in on this structure here, and let's say that I'm going to isolate this element. So we're going to take a look at this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the properties, and maybe I see a change that needs to be made, or we need to create an issue from this. I can now actually create a stamp, drainage. Here we can see some sort of vertical error. I can drop that directly on the item, and that takes that communication all the way to the person that is fixing the issue, and even allows them to see the individual element and all of the properties behind that element. So this streamlined workflow, along with the ability to dissect your models, look at the information, is really, really critical to breaking down those silos and being able to communicate back and forth to the different trades. For example, if we come back out here and look at the object tree, let's say that we want to search for something structural that is something that we're going to have to coordinate around in the horizontal sense, such as underground storm lines or underground sanitary lines. I can actually look for the word structure, and there we're going to see that pops up as structure. Let's look for something like column and see what it's going to give me columns wise. We'll go ahead and isolate that. I can see those columns. How about we search for pipe? Now we're talking. Now we're looking at various elements that are part of the vertical structure, but yet the underground utilities is going to have to deal with pretty heavily. And as we go through here and take a look at this, I'm actually going to go ahead, we'll isolate that in transparency, and what we're going to see over here is an obvious need to coordinate around these elements. And right here I'm already seeing a problem. I'm going to go back and show all. We're going to take a look at what's going on here. And there you can see that the civil design is conflicting with the vertical design. And this is a really important aspect of very, very large projects. So it's one of those situations where not only does civil need a way to communicate with people that are not specialists in Civil 3D, but they also need a way to communicate with the vertical construction that they're supporting in many situations, unless we're building a highway or something like that. So I'm going to close that down there. And we're going to take a look at the properties of this pipe. Now let's say I want to create a real simple search set that shows all of my pipes. I can actually search for the objects based on a property inside of our model, create a new search, and actually find all of the pipes in the project at once. So as I isolate that, I can see all of the pipes throughout the project. And I can actually then save that to a search set that we're going to be able to quickly get back to. So as I jump back out, I go to my home view. If I want to go back to that pipes view or look at all the pipes in the ground, I simply select that and then have all of my right-click functionality to show me exactly where those elements lie. And The beauty of this is that the search sets are shared among the entire team. All of this information that we're bringing to the table that allows you to more further QA your models, attach issues to actual object data, all of that is shareable. There's no need to manage published files, settings files that have to be implemented on each local machine. Every bit of this is going to be able to be templated and rolled out to projects very rapidly. We can also build specific appearance profiles off of this as well. And I think this is very important because now we can standardize our colors inside of our coordination model. So if I go over here, you can see that I have no appearance templates. I'm going to open up this dialog real quick. We're going to close this, and we're going to actually use our search sets to show this. So over on appearance templates, or on appearance profile, I'm going to say, let's choose a search set. And let's go ahead and grab all those pipes that we grabbed earlier. When I select this, it gives me a way to give that an operation as far as how I want to visibly see these pipes. This is where I can color, and let's say that we want those pipes to be red, and then I'm going to quickly duplicate this and isolate these pipes as well. Whenever I apply this, I can actually see all of that element data highlighted the way that I wanted and shown very, very obviously. And just like with a lot of our other settings, this is where we can actually save this as an appearance template. And I can say pipes and choose to share this appearance template with everyone. So now that allows us to go even further in the way that we're managing this data into visualizing it. So you're in a meeting and someone says, show me all the pipes. At the click of a button, that's exactly what we're looking at. And this is all part of an implementation effort. And if dialed in correctly, we can not only facilitate ongoing coordination on horizontal projects with this system, but we can also tie that in directly into communication, issue tracking, and automated reporting. So hopefully this learning session about Civil 3D was very helpful for everyone today. And we will be doing more of these sessions over the course of the year, so be on the lookout for them. And thank you very much for your time today.